everyone, and welcome back to episode 6, season 2 of the Blues News podcast. On today's episode, we have a very special guest returning for the second time on the podcast. Had him on before to talk about his playing career, but now a very interesting podcast again. We're talking about his managerial career. Martin Allen, how are you, Martin?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well.
Brilliant. Well, it's such an interesting podcast last time talking about your playing career. We didn't have quite enough time to talk about your managerial career because obviously there's so much to talk about. So hopefully we're going to try and get for as much as we can today. Obviously, such a long time in the managerial scene. So we'll try and get through as much as we possibly can. So if we just start off with your first kind of getting into managing and coaching and stuff, how did you first get into it?
The first team that I properly had was when I was player coach of Portsmouth Reserves. I just moved down to a place called Winchester, which wasn't far from Portsmouth's training ground, and I needed to get my son George into a football team, which is new school, get him a football club, get him all making him happy in the area.
Of course.
And so I took George along to football training on, Thursday night, Winchester City under-8s it was. And watched training for an hour, and it was absolute carnage. The kids were kicking footballs everywhere. They were jumping on each other. They were talking. They were playing Power Rangers karate kicks. And it was all inside, and I'm sitting in the corner. I didn't say nothing. Kept just watching from outside and thinking, this is madness. And after a few weeks, the manager came over. I hadn't spoken to him before. And he said, Martin, I'm not happy. I can't do this. Will you help me?
Yep.
So I said, yeah, I can help you. I said, as long as you take all the telephone calls, you do all the organisation, and I'll do the football work.
Yep.
That worked beautifully. And I told Alex, his name was, I said, I'll change things, but it will be for the better. And the team at the time were losing 6-0, 7-0, 8-0, 9-0. They were awful. It was absolutely awful.
Yep.
And I got all the parents together at training. Said, you can drop off your children, but I prefer it if you watched. When you come to the football matches, you can't shout at the children. If you do, your child will be substituted.
Yep.
And if you shout at the referee, your children won't play.
Yep.
We are going to be a good club, a good team. We're going to be skillful, and we're going to play good football. And I am going to make your children better footballers. Wow. That was the promise I made. And I wanted their commitment. So all of us was going to be together. Parents. So the parents, instead of dropping their kid off and going home and watching EastEnders, could park their car, walk over, watch training, and then I would explain to the parents what it is, what it was we were doing.
Yep.
Now, why was that so important? Because it got me used to how to treat the players, the people. The parents were like the media and the directors. I was showing them what we were doing, and I asked them to join us and support the team, support the players, never ever criticize the players. Yep. And it grew and grew and grew. And I studied a Dutch coach. His skill videos, and he came from Ajax, was called Curver Coaching, Coerver. And it was how to teach young children and young players and all footballers. They introduced it at Manchester United, same theories. So I studied all that, got to know all that. And we used it, we practiced and we played. None of them were allowed to kick it high. It always had to stay on the grass. And if they couldn't, they had to control it and play. And if they controlled it and had a touch and another touch, and someone tackled them and the other team scored, I wasn't bothered. I wanted them to be good at football. Yep. And so it was the start of a learning education. And I had 2 years with that team. Wow. And it taught me so much. And that really was the start of me going into coaching, managing, and on to the rest of the jobs that I had.
Do you think working with younger children and in the coaching scene. Do you think that helped you later on when you went to eventually manage, senior players?
Yeah, very much so.
Mm.
How to talk to them, how to treat them. Obviously there's a little bit of difference and a difference in the quality and the levels of their ability. But it was still with the drive to improve them, to make them better, and repeat the same training sessions, which was something that Terry Venables had taught me at QPR and at Portsmouth. Do your session on a Tuesday, do the same session on a Thursday, do the same session on a Friday. Repeat. Keep going over it. Go over the points that you want to get into your team and drive it on. And that's what I used to do with the lads at Winchester City.
Yep.
So all the principles that I'd learned from when I was 15, when I left school to join QPR as an apprentice, my coach / manager was George Graham, who went on to manage Arsenal, win trophies with Arsenal. I learned for 4 years from George Graham, and he played a 4-4-2, very difficult to play against, very good at set plays. We were very fit, very well organised. He knew exactly what he wanted, and he didn't alter any way of playing. And obviously I learned from George as well. So that was a different style I picked up at Winchester, the Dutch type of play. To combine that with what I've learned from George, which was a 4-4-2, rigid, difficult to play against. Very, very similar to the Arsenal team that went on to win the Premier League.
So one of your biggest kind of coaching bits after that, straight after that, was I believe you started coaching at Reading with Alan Pardew. How was that?
Yeah, it was amazing. One afternoon, I'd been collecting leaves from people's gardens in a posh little place called Gerrard's Cross, big houses, loads of money. And I was an ex-footballer, didn't have a lot of money. And so I used to go collecting leaves and doing people's gardens. Wow. And then one afternoon, completely out of the blue, Alan Pardew had left a message on my house telephone number to call him. And I think it was maybe a Wednesday or a Thursday night. Wednesday night, I think it was. So I met him at Slough, at a hotel at Slough, just near Heathrow Airport, not far from Heathrow Airport. Met him at 7 o'clock. And he said, my coach, John Gorman, has left to go to Tottenham with Glenn Hoddle. And I want you to step up and be first team coach. We haven't won for a few games. And I want you to do exactly the same as what you did with that Portsmouth reserve team when you beat my Reading reserve team 4-0 at the Madejski Stadium. And I said, really? And he said, yeah. He said, if you remember, I was reserve team manager at Reading. You was reserve team manager at Portsmouth, and you beat us 4-0. He said, that's the best reserve team performance I've seen. He said, I want that into my first team. All your values, your principles, you can take training, you can set the rules. They hadn't won for, I don't think, 10 or 12 games. And they were getting near to the bottom of relegation zone. And so God bless Alan, he let me get on with it. So for the next 2 days, I took training. I did everything that I'd learned from George Graham, from the youth team, 4-4-2, difficult to play against, hard to play against. And we won games, we won points, climbed the table, and the momentum took us on and on and on with self-belief and confidence. And I've always got Alan Pardew to thank for giving me that big opportunity.
Did you know Alan before he reached out to you to be his assistant manager? Had you spoken to him before that?
That is a very interesting question. And I'm going to tell you the story, which I've never, ever told to anybody else.
Brilliant. That's what we're here for. Brilliant.
At the time, I was working part-time for Fulham. The manager was Kevin Keegan, and the head of recruitment was called Arthur Cox, who used to be a very, very good manager himself. He was working for Kevin Keegan, and Arthur Cox rang me to ask if I'd do some scouting. He sent me the game, and it was a Saturday afternoon game, Reading versus Notts County. So I went as a scout for Fulham to the Medeski Stadium, holding my son George's hand. The tickets were right in the corner, behind the corner flag.
Okay.
And half time, we went into the posh lounge to get custard creams and a cup of coffee. And for George, I don't know what he had. And at half time, I said to George, it's too far away in this corner. We are going to go and sit on the halfway line right in the middle.
Yep.
And he said, Dad, our tickets are not for down there. Our tickets are for down here in the Scouts. I said, I don't care. I'm not having it. And so we walked along the back of the private corporate boxes, in behind the dugouts, about 20 yards behind the dugouts, and we just sat there watching the game. It was 0-0 with 20 minutes to go. And the manager of Reading, Alan Pardew, made 2 substitutions. He took off a right back and he moved his right winger to right back.
Wow.
He took off another wide player and he put his centre forward on the wing, and he brought on 2 new forward players. And I'm just sat there quietly with my son, and 10 yards away, a bloke in the corporate who was, I think, drunk, stood up and shouted, "You don't know what you're doing, Pardew!" As loud as he could. As loud as he could. The only time I'd ever met Alan Pardew was when my reserve team had beaten his team 4-0 about 3 or 4 months before. And he'd been appointed Reading manager.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what made me do it. I stood up and I shouted across to the bloke. He's taken off 2 forwards. Are you allowed to swear on this?
Yeah, go on. Why not?
He's taken off 2 players and put on 2 forwards. What the fuck is he supposed to do? And I said it at the top of my voice and shouted at this bloke. I didn't know him.
Yep.
And I said it loud. And I said it with my horrible face on. And I sat back down again. The bloke in front of me was sat next to a lady.
Yep.
The lady turned round to me and she said, "Thank you very much for doing that. I'm going to tell my husband."
All right.
So I said, "Oh, okay." The bloke sitting next to her turned round to me and said, "I'm going to tell my brother. I am going to tell my brother what you just did."
Wow.
I said, "Who's your brother?" He said, "Alan Pardew."
Oh, wow.
She turned round and said, "He's my husband."
Oh, wow.
A month later, John Gorman, the coach, left to go to Tottenham, and Alan Pardew rang me and said, "I want you to be my assistant."
Oh, wow. What a story. I bet you're glad that you stood up and did that now.
Yes. But it's just how I felt anyway at the time.
Yeah.
And
yeah, and I think it's fair because I think a lot of the time, fans can have their opinions on what a manager does, but it's not, as we're going to talk about, it's not an easy job at times, and I think fans seem to think they know better than the manager. So it's nice that, you stuck up for the manager there. So I think if we talk about your time with Barnet then, which is a club we're probably going to talk about quite a lot in the podcast because I believe you're there 5 times, was it, Martin?
yeah, different times.
Yes. So, if you want to tell us a bit about your first spell and what happened there.
At Barnet, I was first team coach, and Peter Shreve was the manager, the old Tottenham manager.
Yep.
So I'd been doing a little bit for John Steele on a very come and go part time, in and out, helping with the coaching at Barnet.
Yep.
And not so much the team coaching, but just general coaching and training. And then John Steele, the manager, left. Peter Shreve got the job, and I was his coach. So I used to do all the training, and Peter used to manage it and pick the team.
Yeah.
And then Peter had a a breakdown with in relationships with the owner, and the owner rang me and said, "I want you to be the manager till the end of the season, 9 games. If you do well, we'll have a look at it. But let's see how you get on." So the first game we had was at home against a club called Hereford, who had a right winger who was 17, making his debut, called 𝗔𝗟𝗟𝗘𝗡.
Wow.
Didn't know him at the time, skinny little kid playing on the wing, didn't know him.
Yeah.
And Hereford were the top of the table team. The Barnet team hadn't won for sort of 7 or 8 games. I took over for my first game, and my God, we beat them 1-0. And that was the start. I think we only lost 1 game in the last 9. And the owner, the chairman, the same chap that's there now, Mr. 𝗠𝗔𝗥𝗧𝗜𝗡, gave me the job.
Wow.
So, we played a very, very not old-fashioned, but 4-4-2 way of playing.
Yeah.
And difficult to play against, very difficult team to play against we were, and a very, very good team. Because I'd been at reserve team level at Portsmouth, I'd been around watching as many football matches as I could possibly get to in non-league and in the reserve league. So I knew I had an encyclopedia of knowledge of footballers. And so when it came to actually picking a team and getting a team together, I was pretty good at it, and I knew which players I could get. And my God, I went out and got them, and we put together a fantastic Barnet team.
Definitely. I think I could be wrong on this, but did you leave with a few weeks to go to join Brentford at some point during your first spell at Barnet? Is that right?
Yes, it is right. Yeah, that was an opportunity to go up 2 divisions. Brentford were in Division 1, and we were in the conference.
Wow.
It was looking like we were going to go up, but not definite.
Yep.
But an opportunity to go up 2 divisions when you're a football manager, in my opinion, is too big a jump to turn that down.
Yeah.
And there were still 9 games to go for Brentford to stay up. It looked like they weren't going to stay up. They hadn't won a match for 17 games. And it looked like they were doomed and going down to Division 2. But I still thought, even if it went down to Division 2, we could still put a team together that could get back up next season.
Yep.
Anyway, as it transpired, we only lost once. And on the last game of the season, we beat Bournemouth 1-0. And that kept us up by 1 point. So there was a celebration on the pitch. So from the last 9 games, I think we won 5, drew 3, and lost 1.
Wow.
And that's after not. And it was the same players hadn't won for 17 games. So it was an unbelievable run. The fans loved it. We all loved it. The players loved it. I don't think I slept for 3 months. It was just non-stop work every day, every night, everything going into Brentford.
What would you put that change in fortunes at the club? What would you put that down to? Was it a change in tactics? Or obviously you came in, but was it a change in tactics? Did you change certain things?
Yeah, I did change quite a lot of things right from the very first moment. And I'd never say anything what had happened before, previous manager, because managing is tough.
Yep.
And when you've had defeats, it gets even tougher. So, I'd never criticised what was happening before. I never did that, and I never will do that. But just basic things like football boots being allowed inside in the pavilion.
Wow.
The footballs were all dirty. The bibs need cleaning. The grass on the pitches needed cutting. The hotels that the team was staying in, going away from home, were crap.
Yeah.
So all these little things, you may say that they don't change the result, but they all contribute towards the bigger picture. They're very, very small bits, but if you add all the small bits together, we bought new discs for the training pitch. We had the grass cut lower.
Yep.
We had the pitches marked out better. We had new footballs brought into the training ground on the first day. There was delay in training because I thought the footballs were crap.
Wow.
And somebody went out and bought 20 footballs, decent ones, from some supplier. I don't know where he got them from. So all of a sudden, there was new training bibs, new training discs. This is before the first day's training session.
Wow.
So when the players came out, it was like flipping heck. And when the players were downstairs, they weren't allowed to wear their football boots in the building. And when they came off the training pitch, I'd also got somebody to go out to the local DIY shop and buy 3 buckets, 6 brushes, 6 shoe polish brushes, and 6 shining brushes with 6 black polishes. So when they came off the training pitch, and they were just walking into the pavilion with dirty boots on, they had to stand outside, and every player, including myself, cleaned their own boots, including myself.
Wow.
And when they went on the pegs in the boot room at the training centre. If anyone hadn't cleaned their boots, they weren't, as a whole group, allowed to leave. All the boots had to be cleaned. So it's standards and changes like that. And then when the players were having their lunch, they weren't allowed to leave till everybody had finished. And the tables all had to be cleared by the players. All the plates had to have the food into the bin, and their cutlery had to go into a bowl, and their plates had to go onto a tray. And so it was left immaculate.
Yep.
It wasn't one bloke going round on his own. Some old boy who used to do the food.
Yeah.
I didn't have none of that.
No.
And then we also added sliced fruit for after their spaghetti or whatever it was, pasta they were having. So very, very minor things, you could say, but high standards and values and principles on the field and off the field. That was what I was trying to get. And that's probably one of the reasons I think that things turned around.
So it sounds like
I was strict. It wasn't, and I used to go round like a sergeant major and check all the boots, and then I'd come upstairs and check the tables were cleaned, and before they weren't allowed to leave until everything had been done. And then when they came back in the next day, everything was perfect. And when they arrived, I'd agreed with the groundsman that he would be cutting the grass before training when the players arrived. So the players would see that the grass was being cut.
Yep.
So it was just little things like that that knew we meant business.
Definitely. It sounds to me like a lot of little changes and improvements in discipline were what you needed. Maybe the talent was already there and the quality was already there. Is that a fair reflection, do you think?
The quality was there, yeah.
Yep.
They were great lads. They were brilliant for me. Absolutely brilliant. Brilliant. All of them were brilliant. And the staff, they embraced me, they welcomed me. And then the supporters, well, I call them now my family. There was 5,500, and they were there from day one. And they went all the way through with me, right the way through to the end, where we lost in the playoffs to go up into the championship twice. The supporters were amazing. And like I say, I call them and still do my family.
Wow.
Just lovely, great to me.
When I was researching for the podcast, one thing that I read up on about Brentford and your time there was a so-called two-bob team with older players mixed with younger players. How did that work for you?
Well, it was. I had senior players that had been around a long time and played a lot of football matches. I had some young players coming through, and we gelled them all together, put together and I also brought in the summer some players from non-league that I knew that were on low wages but had great ability and were desperate to do well. Yeah, and we got that combination. And of course, on top of that, there was communication through the club a media officer, and I used to communicate through the week, update, what was happening, what we were doing, preparation on Fridays, preparation on Saturdays. All went out to the supporters, and the supporters loved it. The first time they'd had communication full on, and we built up a rapport that the supporters loved, and they thrived on it. They thrived on it. We'd walk out onto the pitch, and the players would just get a standing ovation.
Wow.
And at the end of the game, the players would be in the centre circle celebrating, like what you see on the telly now. We did that all those years ago. All those years ago, we were doing that. I started that off. You make sure all four sides of the stadium, all these people that have paid their money, you thank them and you walk round and you make sure you do. And we did. All of us did. All of them. And my staff, they had to go out. Win, lose or draw, you had to be out there. You have to face the music, whatever. And it was a powerful, powerful message that we used to send out to not only our own supporters, but also to the opposition players, staff. We were ready for battle.
I think a big part of your Brentford story and managerial career as a whole was the FA Cup. When I was researching as well, I read that you got the club to the fifth round of the FA Cup in 2 consecutive seasons. And in the 2005-2006 season, you're in charge of the team that beat Premier League side Sunderland 2-1. So if you want to just tell us about your time in the FA Cup and how that was.
It was amazing. We nearly got knocked out. Our goalkeeper saved a penalty in the last minute away to a little team in the Midlands. I can't remember who they were, on a Sunday afternoon, a 3:00 kickoff. We were the only team playing. It was live on telly, and we were set up really for the non-league underdogs to beat a league team. We were set up for that. There's no doubt. Everyone wanted us to lose, and we drew Brackley. It was Brackley, I think. And then we came back home and we beat them just. And from that point onwards, I think they had a penalty in the 89th minute to beat us away. And goalie saved it. Stuart Nelson saved it. We came home. We beat them at home. And then after that, whoever we played, we beat. And we did have that self-belief. And then when it came to Sunderland, they weren't doing very well. And we had a little player called DJ Campbell that we'd signed from Yedding Football Club, again in non-league. He was a delivery driver doing parcels. And then we signed him. I think it was £15,000. And then we put him in the team, and then we took him out. We put him in, we took him out, and he just got better and better and better. And when we played against Sunderland, he was absolutely magic. I think he scored 2 goals. And then the week after, we had to sell him to Birmingham City, who were in the Premier League at the time. We sold him for 550,000.
Wow.
And losing him, 6 months later, after signing him for 15 grand, we sold him for 550.
Wow.
And if we'd have kept him, I think we would have got promoted. We would definitely have got promoted, but the club needed the money because they had no money.
Yeah.
So all our best players had to be sold, and sadly he went. And it was a big, big loss to lose him because he was so good.
Yeah, of course.
And then the next year we beat Southampton. We drew away with Southampton at their ground away from home. Drew away. 2-0 down. Peter Crouch was playing. Sane was playing, or Mane, whatever they call him. He used to play for Liverpool.
Yeah.
And 2-0 down after 20 minutes. 2-2 with 20 minutes to go. And then with 5 minutes to go, we had a great chance to win that game 3-2. And we brought them back home. We went 1-0 up. And they beat us 2-1. And the winners of that game we're going to be playing Manchester United.
Wow.
So we'd already had Manchester United watched. Seriously, I thought we would beat Southampton, and so I had a scout go and watch Manchester United play, ready for us to beat Manchester United.
Yeah.
That was how strong it was.
Mm. Yeah, were you really disappointed by losing that Southampton game then?
Oh gosh, yeah. They were a good. Southampton were a good Premier League team. Manager was Harry Redknapp, and like I say, they had full of internationals. They were good. They were a proper decent Premier League team. Nobody expected us to win down there, and when it was 2-0 down after about 20 minutes, everyone thought it was going to be 5 or 6-0. But we came back. We got stronger. We got more belief. Our supporters down there were unbelievable. Our supporters away at Southampton, even at 2-0 down, were out singing the Southampton supporters, and our players responded. And the team
Brilliant.
talk at half time was very simple and straightforward. Let's go out and beat them. It wasn't to hang on and just do damage limitation. It was, come on, we can play better. Let's go and beat them. Let's beat them. Let's get 3 goals and win it. And the players left that dressing room like I did. I was ready for it, and so were the Brentford players and the supporters. And it was an amazing second half.
Absolutely. Well, something that I wanted to ask you about, this is maybe a bit random, but I'm going to read out something from an article that I read just because I found it so interesting. I've been dying to ask you about it. So it says talking about you, inspired victory over Hartlepool in a 4th round replay with a quick pre-match dip in the tees and jumped naked into the Solent before the 5th round 2-2 draw at St Mary's. Could you just explain, what's going on with that article?
Well, it wasn't the 5th round. It wasn't the swim in the river. When I took over as manager of Brentford, the first home game, we won 4-3, 3 points. The second game was away at Hartlepool. Hartlepool were up in the playoffs and doing very well, had not lost at home all season. Brentford were down in the relegation zone, near the bottom of the league, not just below the line, but near the bottom of the league, bottom team.
Yep.
And Brentford had not won away from home all season. When we drove up there on a Friday morning, just round the corner from the hotel, just down the bottom of the hill, across a road, into a field, was the area that we'd chosen to loosen off the players' legs after the journey. So they all had their training kit, up into their bedrooms, down in 15 minutes, walked down the hill, walked across the road, done a little jog along the side of this little river, done some stretching, done some more stretching and another little jog. And as they were stood by the side of this river, the captain said to another senior player, "I'll bet you £10 you wouldn't go in that across that river." So the senior player, Scott Fitzgerald, he was called, is the head of the academy at Millwall. He said, "Well, I'll do it for 20 quid." And they were all giggling and chatting. After about 10 minutes of hearing this banter about threatening to swim it, I looked across and I had a horrible face on, and I stared and pointed my finger. If you say you're going to swim it, why don't you get in and swim it?
Yeah.
You give me 25 quid, £1 a man. You put £1 a man in, and there's 24 people, including the physios and stuff. I'll swim it. So they went off for another jog along the riverbank, came back 2 minutes later, and the captain said to me, "All right, Gaffer, we're all going to put in £1 a man. You swim it." And he was serious, looking at me. So I took my sweatshirt off, took my t-shirt off, took my tracksuit bottoms off, and all I had on was a pair of trainers and a pair of shorts.
Yeah.
I jogged along the riverbank, crossed over a little bridge, came back along the other side of the riverbank, stood on the side of the river, and I was looking across the river, and I could see 24 people staring at me with big smiley faces. They could not believe I was going to do it. This river's about 15 yards probably wide. No more than that. I tell people it was bigger, but it wasn't.
No.
And I stared across the river with a determined face on. And I pointed to him again. If you say you're going to swim it, then you fucking swim it. And I jumped in as far in as I could go. I didn't want to dive just in case there was anything. I didn't know how deep it was. So I jumped in and just swam as million strokes of swimming as I possibly could quickly do. Climbed out the other side. They were all laughing their heads off. Laughing, players and staff. Can't believe they're on the floor laughing. And I looked round at them and I was hyperventilating like
Yeah, I can imagine, yeah.
And I said, if you say you're going to swim it, then you swim it.
Yeah.
And I ran off back to the hotel and I left them all down there. So the next day, I collected my money at 7 o'clock when the players had their dinner. And the captain said to me, is there any meeting tomorrow before the game? And I said, no, we don't need a meeting. You all know what you're doing.
Yep.
Most teams have a meeting at 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning. And I just said, no, you don't need one. But in between that, my coach and the physio had gone down to a printer's shop near where we were staying, and they'd got A3 size posters and ordered 100 of them. And it said on those posters, if you say you're going to swim it, then effing swim it. And they went with the kit man in the morning on the team coach to Hartlepool Football Club, and the dressing rooms, because it was being converted, it was a porter cabin. They'd bought on the way at WH Smith some blue tack, which is that stuff you stick things on the wall. And they'd put the posters all around the inside of the porter cabin.
Yeah.
When we got to Hartlepool, I sat on the front of the coach and I let all the players and the staff go into the porter cabin. I didn't go in. And when the players went in, so I've been told, they went, oh my God. It was like a wallpaper of if you say you're going to swim it. So that is the story about swimming in the river.
Yep.
And to finish it off, I must tell you, we won 2-1.
Wow.
So it then turned out to be a motto of our group. We had 9 games together. We won the first one. We won the second one. And now we were creeping up the table towards that white line that we all look at on the TV or on our phones nowadays, whether you're going to get relegated or not. When it came to the FA Cup games, playing away at the Premier League Southampton, we were walking along the Solent in the middle in the morning, and I turned round to them all. I took my tracksuit. Oh, this is 11 o'clock. There's people walking their dogs. It's all posh down there. Posh hotels, Solent in Southampton. We're walking along, and I just stopped and said, hold on, we need to do the team talk. So I took my top off. I'm stood there in a pair of shorts and a pair of trainers. People are walking as kids. There's a playground and all that sort of stuff. And I walked out into that it's called the Solent River. I walked down into the water. I just walked out, dived in, freezing cold. There's waves coming in and out. The players are laughing. And when I came back out, I looked at them all and said, if you say you're going to swim it, then you get in and flipping swim it.
Yep.
That was the team talk.
Wow.
Be brave. Be brave. Yep. Go in and do it and front it up. So the story about me swimming in a river is kind of mad. But if you look at it in a different way and try and see the reasons why, then it's not so mad. And it's kind of...
There's a method to the madness.
Yeah. And we took that motto on. And we just, you know, the players never forget it when I see them. And it proved, and in the end we started filming a few of them as well for the players to see, and it was magic. It was magic.
Well, I imagine in kind of a funny way, it is quite inspiring to see somebody, say they're going to do something and then go and do it, as you said. So I can see why that would be, motivational for a team, and you could kind of adapt that to how you play and stuff. I can understand that. Yeah, definitely. But yeah. So in May 2006, I believe you resigned from Brentford, leaving. What was the reasoning behind you leaving Brentford?
Well, by that time, we'd lost in the playoffs for a second time.
Yeah.
And by that time, several players were worth a lot of money. And they were very good players. And they were players that went on to play in the Premier League. The club needed money. They'd built a stand behind the goal at Griffin Park, a big roof that they needed to pay for. And when I spoke to the owners or the chairman, he said, Martin, these players have got to be sold. And I thought to myself, if I sell those players, there's no way we can get back in the playoffs. We won't be able to continue the good form that we've had. And there's no way I'm going to, if you like, steer that ship. I won't be able to do the same as what I've just done. There's no way I could do it. There's absolutely no way I could have done it. And I thought it was better for me to resign. They asked me to wait for a couple of weeks to have a think about it. And after a couple of weeks, I was more convinced then that I couldn't replace what I had and what was going to be sold. And we made a lot of money. We made an awful lot of money for Brentford. And there's a lot of Brentford people right now they're playing in the Premier League. They remember, they know. At the time, without those sales, Brentford could well be in the non-league.
Yeah.
It was that close. They could have gone into administration. It was in a real bad way. So the sale of those players was absolutely crucial. I couldn't change it, and I didn't want to be having a fantastic. And God bless, Leroy Rossignol took over, and there was nothing. It wasn't anything Leroy did. But Leroy had to put together a patchwork team that was nowhere near at the players that I had, and they got relegated.
Wow.
So I suppose it justified my decision to, and I didn't have a club to go to. I had no other job. I was just doing what I felt was the right gut feeling, the right thing to do.
Absolutely. Well, after that, then, as you said, you didn't go straight to a club, but you went to MK Dons and later Leicester City. I just wanted to talk quickly about Leicester. Quickly, as I said, we might skip over certain bits, focus on bits a bit more. But one thing I wanted to talk about Leicester was the chairman, Mandarich. Is that how you say it?
Mandarich.
Mandarich, and your relations with him, because I believe after just 4 games, I think you terminated your contract by mutual consent. Is that right?
No, he sacked me. It wasn't by mutual.
Oh, okay.
The club tried to make it as mutual, so they don't have to pay as much money. That means there's an agreement to split. No, I wouldn't fall for that one. After 4 games, he sacked me. He'd signed a lot of players in the summer himself, and at the time, I was manager, and I had at one point there were 53 players, 53 or 54 players. And as you can imagine, at Brentford, I had sort of 18. At MK Dons for that year, I had about 18. And then when you turned up and looked at the training ground and there was a list of the players, professionals, 53. And there was
Wow.
also a couple of young players coming through as well called Andy King, a Welsh lad who went on to play for Wales, played in the Premier League. He was another good one that was underneath. So that made it 54. And he'd signed a lot of them, and he wanted them to play. And I said they were rubbish, or not rubbish. That's disrespectful. Not good enough.
Yeah.
And we done okay, but no, there was no way that relationship was gonna work. And we beat Watford at home 4-1. Fantastic performance. And then soon after that, he sacked me. 27,000 standing ovation for everybody, and he sacked me.
Wow. What was the reason exactly behind him sacking you?
Well, I think he wanted the players that he had signed playing in the team,
Oh, okay.
and his opinion of the players that he'd signed, not what I'd signed, I didn't think those players were good enough, so I didn't play them.
No.
And then, then that caused for problems. I wasn't going to compromise my beliefs.
No.
I was always going to pick the team that I thought was the best team. There's no way I could stand in front of the players at the training ground on a Thursday morning on the training pitch and tell the players what the team is, and it wouldn't be my team, it would be the chairman's team.
Yep.
There's no way I could do that. And then there's no way, absolutely no way, when you do a press conference on a Thursday lunchtime, that I could have sat there in front of all the media and lied to the media and the supporters that was my team that was going out to play.
No.
No way I could have done it, and I wouldn't compromise, and I didn't compromise. And I was told, and I was aware that if I didn't pick what I was supposed to pick or wanted to be picked, then I'd have problems. And I could have sat there, earned a lot more money, but looking back, I have no regrets at all. The values and principles, what my mum and my dad had taught me, there's no way that I could have ever done that. I couldn't lie to the people that pay their money, and I certainly couldn't lie to the players either. So it was easy for me, and I have no regrets.
The next club I want to talk to you about is Cheltenham, where your dad was the manager before. So when you joined Cheltenham, was there a bit of added pressure, or were you really proud to manage the same team that your dad did?
No, very proud. I used to go and watch there for 3 years, on the team coach, on the bench, in the dressing rooms, going training, joining in the training sometimes. Even when I was a little boy, absolutely loved it. Painted the stands at Whaddon Road, painted the turnstiles. Yeah, I've done all that. Done the weeding, done the maintenance. Yeah, cleaned all the windows. Done everything at Whaddon Road when I was a little boy. Absolutely loved it. And Dad done a brilliant job there. Great times there. Great times.
At Cheltenham, under tough financial situation at the club, the whole club I read the whole team, all the players were put up for sale. Is that right? And how tough was that?
Yeah, massive financial problems. Massive. It was very, very difficult at the time. And the chairman had to put everybody up for sale. Everyone was available. So it was financially, it was made it very, very difficult.
Definitely. Well, one club that I want to talk to you about as well, which is one that we've got to talk about because it's one of the biggest clubs in your managerial career, I think, which is Barnet. We previously mentioned them a little bit, but do you want to just tell me a little bit about your whole time at Barnet, all the different times that you went back, and kind of what kept drawing you back to Barnet?
It has been special. I've had a couple of phone calls, sort of laying on the settee on a Sunday afternoon, like we all do.
Yep.
After your Sunday lunch, watching sport on the telly, watching a game on the telly on a Sunday. And the chairman of Barnet rang me up and said, we've parted company with the manager. We'd like you to come till the end of the season. Would you come and do it? So I said, what, just like to stay up? He said, yeah, you can do that. We know you can do that. So I've done that a couple of times. It's been some unbelievable experiences. It's high pressure when you're in that situation. Obviously, I've done it with Brentford.
Yeah.
And then I've done it a couple of times with Barnet, where you've got to be difficult to beat, hard to play against. You've got to win games, give them self-belief and get out and do it. And that it has worked like that a couple of times now. And very, very special times at Barnet. And then, of course, we've had the last one where I was able to put together, build a decent team, and then obviously we won the conference championship, which is, as you know, as Southend supporters, is very, very difficult to do.
Of course, yeah.
It is a hard division to get out of because there's so many games and it's relentless. And that Barnet team, I think we were top of the league for the whole season. I think Bristol Rovers were a much bigger club, paying bigger money. And we managed to beat them. Fantastic experience to be a champion. And an absolute honour to lead, if you like, Barnet to the championship was, one of the highlights of my career, of my life, really.
Well, you said there about how hard it is to get out of the league and out of the conference, and it is so true. And even today, particularly for Southend fans today, what do you make of the fact that only 2 teams go up? Because I don't know if you're aware, but there's like a 3-up campaign at the moment where they're trying to open up another promotion spot. Are you on board with that?
Of course I am. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. It should be 2 automatics and 1 extra.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for many years it was just 1 up.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's been allowed to happen. I think it's ridiculous. No. I just don't know why. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's so difficult. It's especially difficult as well. It's difficult for clubs like Southend that have been in the Football League for all these years, and then they go down to that division through what has been dreadful mismanagement at Southend, and then for all the supporters and all the players, it creates negativity, disappointment when you've got to go away to non-league clubs and clubs you've never heard of, don't even know where they are. And it's a massive change for fans and players to go. That transition is so difficult. And there's a lot of clubs that have had players playing in the Football League, then go down to that level and they can't handle it. They just can't deal with it. And it takes time. And you have to build a team to get out of the conference with players that are happy to play in the conference, not players that have got the ump being in the conference. And the supporters, it can take them a good few years to have to get used to it. Yeah. And I've experienced it with Chesterfield and with Notts County.
Yep.
It's taken time for supporters to accept it, respect it, and then get on and battle through it and battle out of it. But it can create a very negative attitude around the whole club.
Of course. Absolutely. Another club I wanted to talk to you about is Gillingham, and I'm just going to read out some of the things quickly that you achieved at your time in Gillingham for those at home that don't know. So there you were there for about 16 months. You oversaw their greatest ever start to a season, broke the club record for most away wins, won the League 2 title, and you were crowned Manager of the Year by the LMA. So yeah, just tell us about your time at Gillingham, because I think that's again another club that were massive in your career.
Yeah, Gillingham was amazing, absolutely amazing. Yeah, I was able to put together in the summer a really good team. It didn't cost anything to put that team together. They were all free transfers. We sold players we had a goalkeeper that we sold to Tottenham for something like 1.2 million. We had a midfield player we sold for something like 450,000. So I think the total in sales in pre-season was something like 1.6 million sold. And I stand to be corrected, but I think we bought a centre-back in for 15,000 from Brentford called Leon Legg. So our outlay was 15 grand and our income was 1.6 million. And then we put together a team, a fantastic team to win the league. We were top of the league for the whole season. The supporters were amazing. The players we just went from game to game. We were relentless. It was relentless march of warriors on and off the field. and wherever we went, we knew we could win, and wherever we went, we did win. And as always, nearer towards the end of the season, you have a tricky spell when the pressure starts to really get on. But we came through that, got through to the end, got enough points. Players were awesome. Brilliant time.
Fantastic. Well, we're coming pretty much towards the end of the podcast. We've still got some clubs to talk about, but as I said, you're at so many different clubs, such a brilliant managerial career. So we're going to see how much we can get through. But and then I might have something at the end that we can do very, very quickly. But yeah. So I read an interview when I was researching about Barnet. If we just jump back to that, about how you were struggling with health problems due.
Yeah, I had a chamber in my heart that wasn't working properly. So I went to see the chairman to explain.
Yep.
When they promptly, through the League Managers Association, pretty rapidly, as you can imagine, got me to a consultant who said to me that I needed to rest and take it easy, and that I shouldn't attend the games for a little while. I didn't take his advice. I went to Grimsby away, sat with Michael Nelson in the stand. Grimsby got a penalty. I've got a bad heart, by the way. Grimsby got a penalty and he missed it at the bar. So that was a relief.
Yeah.
No, it's just great. No, I did. I was a bit poorly at the time. It's fine. I didn't need an operation. And I do still every 6 months. I still have it monitored just to check that everything's okay. But everything so far has been absolutely spot on. So no problems with that.
Brilliant. Well, yeah, as I said earlier, there's so many clubs to get through. But one thing I just want to do, just to wrap up the podcast, obviously, I'm very aware that we haven't quite got through every single club. But something I just want to do right at the end, just to wrap up the podcast, is just hit you with some quick fire questions, and you can just give a very, very quick answer to wrap it up. It's sometimes quite a nice way to end quite a big podcast. So firstly, who is the best player that you coached?
Best player that I coached was DJ Campbell. No, Michael Turner at Brentford, that went on to play in the Premier League for Sunderland.
Brilliant. Who is the manager that you looked up to the most?
George Graham, when I was in the youth team at Queen's Park Rangers. It was the start of my career, and it was basically the start of George Graham's career. And then obviously we all know he went on to Millwall and then to Arsenal. George Graham, without a shadow of a doubt, biggest influence, yes.
I thought that one was coming as we spoke about on the last podcast. I remember you saying about him. One club that you would have loved to manage if you had had the chance?
Oh, Barcelona.
Brilliant. Nice. Well, is there any reasoning behind that? Is it because of the lifestyle or how big the club is? Or
growing up, it was the club, the kit, the colour of the kit, just the stadium, the new camp, just amazing. Barcelona. Can you imagine me going out to Barcelona?
That'd be brilliant. Maybe you won't have an answer to this, but it'll be interesting to see if you do. The best player that you tried to sign, but for whatever reason couldn't.
I don't know.
Fair enough. That's maybe a difficult one. Well, this one again is you might not have an answer for, but favorite club that you managed? Can you pick just one?
I can't just pick one.
No,
be absolutely impossible.
Yeah,
I have special memories and special moments from nearly all of them. No, impossible to actually say, really, because I've got so many special ones.
Of course,
and there's been special moments at every one of them, to be honest.
Of course. We've just got a couple more. One of them, I didn't ask you this on the last podcast, or we didn't really even touch on it, but Mad Dog, are you a fan of the nickname or not?
Yeah, it's fine. People can call me what they want. Most people call me Martin.
Yeah.
But then I could be filling up with petrol if I'm outside Birmingham or on the services in Liverpool, and someone will shout across the forecourt, "Mad Dog, how are you?" So it's a nickname that's not just local.
Yeah.
It's like everywhere I go, people call me Mad Dog and know me as Mad Dog. And I suppose in a funny kind of way, it's a bit of a compliment.
Yeah, absolutely. What is the favourite game that you managed in for you?
There'd be two games. One
Yep.
of them would be Barnet versus Gateshead. We needed to win the league, and we won the game and won the league. That game, I never forget.
Yep.
And the other one was Gillingham versus Wimbledon. We needed to win the game to win the league, and we won the game and won the league. Both those football matches will never ever forget those games.
Yep.
Just the stress, the tension, the excitement, the reward, the feeling of being a champion from those two football matches. To be a champion after 10 months competition, and it is in my mind a 10-month competition. It's not one game, it's 10 months. To come out on top and be a champion is just the best feeling.
So the final question, obviously it's a Southend podcast, and for any Southend fans watching, we haven't really spoken about Southend too much because this is about a managerial one. But the last question I just wanted to ask, was there ever an opportunity to manage Southend, or was it ever something that you thought of?
No, never thought of it.
Yep.
Knew and heard stuff about that previous owner, chairman, whatever he was, and there was no way I could manage there. No way.
No, fair enough. That's good answer. Well, that pretty much wraps up the podcast, Martin. Thank you so much for coming on. As I said, such an amazing, brilliant career. So there's so much to talk about and so many interesting stories in there. Is there anything that you want to say just before I end the podcast?
Yes, there is, and you can't delete this.
Yep, I won't.
The reason I've done this podcast for you,
Yep,
is because you've been persistent, you've been polite. You've been a nice person to talk to.
Yep.
You've clearly done your research. I have not got a clue who you are, but I've enjoyed talking to you, and the determination to get me to do this, I've admired, and I believe that you will go on and have a good career in whatever you do.
Amazing.
Do not delete what I just said.
No,
Play it to the Southend people.
I won't. Thank you so much, Martin. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate all the help with the podcast. As I said, one of the most interesting guests that I've ever had on, and so many brilliant stories. I mean, we could have probably chatted about that for about 4 hours if we wanted to. So,
Well, make sure you don't cut that out. It's very important.
I promise you. I promise I won't cut that out. Thank you very much, Martin. It means a lot. And thank you to everyone who's watching as well. Really appreciate that. If anybody wants to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you very much, Martin.
Take care. Good luck.